Hello everybody, it's Maikito, and quickly going over yesterday's picks or last video's picks. Player prop wise, it was 2 in 1 day. When it came to the YouTube ones, it was 1 in 1. Bright higher than 3.5 tackles hit by halftime, and then Rivas higher than 1.5 tackles. I still think he would have hit. He did start the game, and they got subbed out around the 60th minute mark, 65th minute mark, because they were down a goal and they needed some attacking reinforcements. So he got subbed out, ended with 1, unfortunately. And then I had an added play around in the middle of the day. I can't remember what time it was, 3 p.m. or something, 1 p.m. I can't remember. Cesar Huerta to go higher than 1.5 tackles. 1.5 shots. That one hit. And then when it came to the money lines, I said I was aiming for 4 for 6, and I got 3 for 6, close. The ones I hit were Mallorca, Atletico Madrid, and America or draw. I did the math. If you would have put 1 unit on each, like I said in the last video, you actually would have only lost 0.4 units. Overall, it was an okay day. Obviously, could have been better. Let me know in the comments whether you guys like what I did with this last video, which just give a lot of money lines. Could do like a little quick 15-20 second explanation on each, and give more plays, or would you rather me do what I usually do and just give like 2 or 3 longer explanations? Let me know in the comments what you prefer. There's a lot more games than I thought when it came to the Leagues Cup. Would have got this video out sooner, but I had to work, and I didn't want to post a video before all the picks for the previous one had even gone through yet, so which is why this video is out later than usual. There's a lot of games, a lot of picks to go through. They still don't have all the picks out, but I did still find a couple. I'm not gonna force any plays like usual. I'm just gonna give the ones that I do like, so I'll get straight into those. My first play is Andrew Thomas to go higher than 2.5 saves, playing for Seattle, going up against Necaxa. Necaxa, who need a win to advance, which is what I like. Even if they win from penalties, they still get eliminated. They need to win in the first 90 minutes if they want to go through to the next round. And they just came off a 1-0 loss to Minnesota away from home, and they have 14 shots on target. Keep in mind, Minnesota were a man down, and they were up, so they were just defending for their life. But still shows you that when they need to attack, they are willing to attack, and they had really good, decent chances. I believe out of those 14 on target, 30 they had were normal shots. So almost half of their shots were on target, which is good for us. And opposing keepers against Necaxa this season have gone over 2.5 saves in all 3 games that they've had away from away from home this season. And Necaxa is an attack that will shoot, regardless of what their games look like, their scores. They're still an attack that will shoot. Seattle have allowed 4, 5, 2, 4, and 4 shots on target in their last 5 games, so they allow decent. They allow an average amount, but like I said, it's a desperate Necaxa side who will shoot. So I like this mark. I like Andrew Thomas to go higher than 2.5 saves. My next prop is Robin Jansson to go higher than 2.5 clearances, playing at home for Orlando, going up against San Luis. He averages 2.9 clearances, so pretty much he averages 3. And San Luis is another team that need to win. They cannot go, even if they tie and win on penalties, they're still out. They need the win to go through to the next round. And for those that don't know, Mexican teams tend to play a lot of long balls. They send the ball, play long balls, as in like they'll send the opponent through, play a long pass and stuff like that, which is good for us because that just means good opportunities and better opportunities for Jansson to get those clearances in the air, headed clearances and stuff like that. And for example, the last time they played a Mexican team was in the Cup last season. They played against Tigres. They played them twice in March. He went over in both of those games with 5 and 4, which is what we like to see. If we look at the clearances for opponents that have gone against San Luis the last 3 games, they played Montreal that had 18, Tijuana had 17, and Pachuca had 19. And if you look at the games that Orlando, how many clearances they've had in the last 5 games, they've done 11, 12, 7, 16, and 24. And if you look at those games compared to how many clearances Jansson has had, in the game where Orlando had 11, he only had 1. In the game where they had 12, he only had 1. In the game where they had 7, he actually had 4 of those. And then when they had 16, they had 3. He had 3 of them. And then when they had 24, he had 5 of them. So if if San Luis's opponents, this trend keeps going to where they're going, and on the minimum side, Orlando get at least 17, which is the least out of the last 3. He gets 3 in my opinion for sure. Like I said, San Luis is one of those teams that like to play long balls. Their attack isn't based on any build-up play. They play a lot of long balls, and San Luis is going to want the win, so they're going to be aggressive. They're going to try to find opportunities where they can. And Orlando, they just need to play defense, be good at home, and if they take the lead, even better for us. They'll play more defensive. I think it's a good mark, considering the fact that San Luis need to go out there and get the win. So like Robin Jansson to go higher than 2.5 clearances. And then the last play that I like, that I found, is Richie Larin to go lower than 3.5 fouls drawn, playing at home for Toronto, going up against Pachuca. Since the break that he had for international break, he's played 3 games for Toronto, and he's gone under in 2 out of those 3 games. The last game, I think this is the reason why his mark is so high. In the last game, he got fouled 8 times out of Toronto's 12. But then before that, he only got fouled once out of 14 fouls Montreal committed. And the game before that, he got fouled 3 times in 19 fouls that Miami did. And if you look, like I said, in the last 3 games, the other team's opponents have conceded 12 fouls, 14 fouls, and 19 fouls. But Pachuca is not a high fouling team in these last 4 or 5 games. In the Liga MX, they've only averaged 10 fouls, which is low. And then in the last game that they played against Red Bulls, they only had 8 fouls. So I just ultimately think this is too high of a mark. The games where he's been fouled a lot is against high fouling teams. Pachuca is not a high fouling team. It's just as simple as that. I think this is too high of a mark and over exaggeration after a last game where he got fouled 8 times. So like Richie Larin to go lower than 3.5 fouls drawn. I want to give a quick shout out to my partner Underdog Fantasy. You can use code Maikito in the description. They'll match your first deposit up to $100. And you also get a free play you can use. I also have the YouTube membership for those that are interested in that. Good way to get the plays out early before anybody else. Try to avoid potential bumps. And it's also a great way to support the channel. If not, I also have my Cashapp in the description as well if you want to donate. Never required, but anything is always appreciated. And then my Fliff as well, which is a mobile app where the Moneyline plays that you see, that's where I post them, because I know people ask. The Fliff app is where I play my money lines and where the lines come from. But other than that, I really appreciate anybody who supports me in any way. Unlike last video's money lines, where I did a lot and then did a quick explanation, this time I'm going to do 2 that I found that I like and give a good explanation. The first one is the Atlanta United money line against Santos, and this ultimately comes down to that they will outscore Santos in my opinion. They have scored 28 goals in 14 games that they've had at home, and Santos in 5 games this season have only managed to score 1 goal throughout all 5 games. They've been scoreless in 4 out of the 5 games that they've played, and in those 5 games, the one where they scored, they drew. The ones where they didn't score, they've lost 4. So they've lost 4 out of 5 games, and they've allowed 16, 28, 22, 15, and 13 shots. So they give teams a lot of shots, and they just came off with 3-0 loss to DC United. And this is a game where Atlanta United can clinch not only their qualification spot, but their first place spot. So it's a good spot for them. I think it's a good matchup. Atlanta create a lot of chances. They sometimes have trouble when it comes to converting, but they still average 2 goals scored at home. They create a lot of chances. The reason why I say they don't put them away is because relative to how many chances they create to how many they score, they could do better, which is good for us because they average 16 shots taken at home, and it's a good matchup against a Santos team that allow a lot of shots and have been playing really bad this season. So like the Atlanta money line versus Santos. And then my second play is the Cruz Azul money line against Philadelphia. Philadelphia is actually ranked 27th out of 29 teams at home in the MLS, so they're the 3rd worst team in general. They've lost 6 out of 13 games at home, and Philadelphia are not good at defending counterattacks and defending attacks down the wings. They tied 0-0. Cruz Azul tied 0-0 against Charlotte away from home, who have only lost 2 out of 12 games. So they played a good defensive team. Now they're not when it comes to them, how many wins and losses they allow at home. In these 5 games this season that they've played so far, Cruz Azul have only conceded 1 goal in 5 games and have scored 9 in those 5 games. They started really well, then they tied against a good Toluca team 1-1, and they played a good defensive team in Charlotte and tied 0-0. So I just think they started really well, and this is the underestimation of how good they really are. They play an overlapping 5-back, so they defend in the 5-back, and then those 2 fullbacks, they overlap and they join the attack, which is a good system to play because, like I mentioned before, Philadelphia are bad at 1, defending counterattacks, and 2, defending attacks down the wings, which is where Cruz Azul attacks come from. And now they have good strikers like Gio Makis, who joined from Atlanta, who's been a great player for them. So they qualify with the draw, and they get first place with the win. So I think they're going to want to go for that first place win. And I think this is a good value for plus money against Philadelphia. I think they're underestimating the Cruz Azul side. So like Cruz Azul money line versus Philadelphia. Thank you everybody for watching. If you could like the video, comment as well, helps boost the video out to more people. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe and turn on notifications so you get notified when these videos come out. Like I mentioned before, first of all, when it comes to money lines, would you rather do what I usually do, what I did in this video, give 2, maybe 3 plays and give good explanation on them, or do what I did last video and give multiple money lines that I say play 1 unit on, and just give like a brief summary? Let me know down in the comments what you prefer. Like I said, there's a lot of games. I only posted gave you guys the ones that I liked. They still haven't posted some for some games, and as always, I will post more plays in the pinned comment as long as I see some that I like. Usually it could be anywhere in the day, but most of the time it's usually about 30 minutes before kickoff time, just because the lineups are out. I need some time to look at the plays and stuff like that. But then that'll help everybody has a good night, a good day. We can cash out tomorrow.